Hello from the land of TV. This is King Kool. And welcome to the Toast Reviews. For those of you who don't know how this works, I watch a movie, I put something in the toaster, and I talk about it before my toast is done. And today, we're right at the end of 90s comic book movie month. And I'm bending the rules maybe a tiny bit here. With this movie is not actually a comic book, but it is, I think, one of the more legendary comic movies of the early 90s. No, it's not Batman, because I think Batman came out in 1989. But it's Dick Tracy, which I remember seeing way back on tape when I was a little kid, like I was 7 or 8. And remembering, certain details of it. But I was like, I liked it at the time. They had a Dick Tracy coloring book that was pretty cool. But I wonder if it's still any good. I apologize for the Barbara Walters filter coming on here, all the fog. It's really humid today, and I just took this out of the air conditioning, but I'm trying to get this done as soon as I can. And today, to celebrate this very colorful movie, we have Team USA Olympic Pop-Tarts. I'm going to do them one at a time, because I think I have enough to talk about with this one. Here we go. Okay, we all know who Dick Tracy is. And apparently they were trying to make a Dick Tracy movie for like 50 years. But when the creator finally passed away, the demands were not as crazy to make the movie. And it finally sort of went through. And Warren Beatty plays Dick Tracy. And you might think it's like this... You might think it would be a little silly to have, like, yep, I'm a detective and I'm walking around in bright yellow. But everyone else, the movie is so much about color. All these sharp greens and reds and blues and purples, big purple cars, and all the people who play all the bad guys, like Prune Face and Flat Top, are all made up in this way to make them look like the guys from the comics. And I'm like, man, when was the last time anyone even attempted this? Now, Warren Beatty just looks like Warren Beatty, and they were going to give him a fake nose, but like, nah, to hell with it. And I think that might have been distracting. But everyone else is just like dolled up in these ridiculous things. And I'm trying to figure out what I thought of that as a kid. I don't think I thought it was like, well, it was clearly makeup. I don't even think I had the context for that. I'm like, man, these guys look weird. Where did they find a guy who had a really wrinkly face like Prune Face? The only analogs I can think of are possibly Sin City, much later, or Popeye 10 years before, which I've never seen. Another thing was like, let's make it look like the cartoon. So I guess after Popeye's amazing failure, it must have been pretty yeah, I think that might be done for that one. After Popeye's I have this book called Fiasco which talks about Popeye. It's pretty cool. I'll do it in that one so it's not immediately so hot. Oh man, I don't have a lot of time. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a sort of goofy, I suppose you could say noir, I don't know if it's exactly that, but detective style thing. Occasionally, Dick Tracy does things that aren't really good, but it is, I guess, supposed to be the 30s. Like, he sweats out people and points like the light at them and then refuses to give them water. And so like, wow, Dick Tracy, I know that he's supposed to be sort of the paragon of virtue, and even when the bad guy played by Al Pacino fails to bribe him, it's honestly, this movie is just good. It's just a good, solidly made, interesting little movie. I'm trying to think of what I wrote here. I was writing sort of quick. There is one moment that I thought was kind of funny where Al Pacino, Big Boy Caprice is who he plays, and he plays this sort of short, fat, distorted guy with all this makeup on, and it's like, are we really done? It's not going to let me go any further than that. He plays this short guy. I seem to remember them fighting their last fight at the end of in a clock tower, but I guess it was a drawbridge. And I'm sort of like, well, why are the gears still turning when the drawbridge stopped, I mean, those gears turn, that keeps the drawbridge still. Once they stop, that's when the drawbridge moves. Seems a little silly. I don't expect this to be as good as the last time I did it, but I am just going to do this to just give myself a tiny bit more time. But yeah, I liked it. I'm not certain what to say. It's just so strange, you know, that this a Hollywood movie, you know, with a big whatever's would be so weird. It's like we gotta make everyone look like that. When's also, even with, like, let's say Iron Man, they didn't make Robert Downey Jr. look like, you know, something weird. I don't know what they're gonna do when they have MODOK come out, but. And one other minor little spoiler, I'll just say this. If I were to tell you that there was a bad guy called the Blank who has no face, and he talks, let me see if I can do the voice, and he talks in a voice that sounds exactly similar to "Just relax for a moment, you're free of the carbonite," like that. I think I finally got it. Would that spoil anything for you if I then also told you that there was a sultry lounge singer, played very well by Madonna? Anyway, I liked it. I don't really know what to say. At one point, Al Pacino's character says, "I am the law," which I thought was, I laughed pretty good at that. So I don't know, I liked it just because it was different from the things I've seen, at least lately. Is it considered a classic? I don't know. I mean, this is the thing when I watch, this is about as old as I can watch a movie before it gets to the point where I don't have any context for it. Anyway, I'm going to eat me this here peanut butter slathered Pop-Tart. Thank you all for watching. This is Kool. Drive home safe. After the toast and after the crunch, there's the crust. Well, one thing I forgot to mention, according to IMDb at least, there's I don't know if it would be called a director's cut at this point, but there's another version of this movie that's a half an hour longer that was cut down by the studio before it got released. And I'd be interested to see that. Because they have these radio announcer guys, and one of them I'm like, that's John Machida Jr., that's the Micro Machine Man. So he must have been like, you know, on the news and you know, did his real fast thing. But I don't think he has any lines. They just show him in shots of montages that are used to sort of connect these scenes. I think where some stuff has been trimmed. And certain scenes are just like, wow, that scene just cut really close to the end there. But it doesn't, I don't, you know, I recognize that, but I don't know if I would have if I hadn't looked up and seen that there was a longer version. I think that's the first time the phone is interrupted.